What's up, everybody? Welcome back. It is the Fanduel NFL Week 5 first look lineup. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back for NFL Week 5. This is your Fanduel first look lineup. It is Tuesday, early in the week, and this is when we like to take a look at the salaries, take a look at the game cards, and just get a sense of how this week is shaping up at the beginning of the week. And as always, before we get into the actual player breakdown, we're going to take a look at the game cards on the DFS Army Domination Station for week 5 to see if there are any games that really stand out from a I must target this game perspective. Remember, as always, green, good, red, bad, most of the time, with some exceptions. So let's take a look at the games. And right off the bat, it's an interesting contrast this week, guys, because we are not seeing where we have like 3 or 4 of these 54, 55 point totals on this particular slate. So this is a slate where I think we're going to get to finally have a little bit more leveled out exposure across all of these games because none of them really stand out very intensely. I guess the biggest standout game right here is Giants Dallas, and we've obviously seen Daniel Jones, the resurrection looking great. Oh my God! Somebody in the chat mentioned this reminds us of last year. Daniel, or actually, there was a Jimmy Garoppolo chalk week that went really poorly. I remember that well. And of course, there was a Daniel Jones week at the Cowboys last season that went really poorly. So, but Daniel Jones has been looking really good. So, of course, this game is interesting. We've got San Francisco against the Cardinal. It seems like every week Arizona's in an exciting game. Trey Lance all day is right. Buffo, man, I'm amazed at your ability to pop in on the live stream exactly when it goes live. Very impressive. We've also got the Packers taking on the Bengals. I think it's interesting. The spread only -3 for the Packers. A little surprised by that. Here we've got a hurt Ben Roethlisberger. This game looks horrible. Vikings offense great, running game amazing. So let's take a look at the Vikings on this particular game here. Their offense, we want to pay attention to that. Obviously, the Bucks after last week's dud are going to smash. That's how it works. That's how it works. I never like to target teams against the Saints, really, but here's an interesting one. First of all, the spread is weird. Titans should probably be favored by more than this. The Jaguars are a disaster. Urban Meyer, what a nightmare. End it. Sahid Shah, whatever the hell your name is, bro. Whatever the hell your name is, Shah. Fire this man. The owner of the Jaguars, please. Please. Hate the face. Damian Williams is one of the salary savers this week. Excited to play him. Maybe we'll see. He was a little hurt at the end of last week's game. They played a little bit too much Khalil Herbert at the end. So let's see if Damian Williams is fully healthy. But I get why people want to play him with Montgomery out and some salary savings, especially on FanDuel. Raiders, Bears, no. Charger, no, we avoid Cleveland games, guys, and Chargers games. Avoid this. Wait, can you see this? Avoid this game. And then, yeah, so these two games right here, obviously afternoon games, Giants, Dallas, San Francisco Cardinals, exciting games. And then I think I'm interested in the Vikings offense a little bit. And, I was going to be interested in the Jaguars offense, but man, I like LaVisca, but the whole Urban Myers thing got me feeling some type of way. I don't know how I'm feeling, but it's some type of way. It ain't good. Hate the face. Hate the face of Urban Meyer. All right. So let's take a look at this FanDuel salary system and see if we can find any bargains. And a lot of people are mentioning it already. I think I'm going to go right to it. Let's not even beat around the bush. There are some cheap quarterback plays, low cost. But the man that stands out here is going to be Trey Lance. It's Trey Lance. He runs. He looked half a quarter of play, whatever. 2 touchdowns, 41 rushing yards. Yeah, just play Lance. What I like about Lance is he's cheap. And yeah, I mean, you're talking about Kittle or Debo. How about Ayuk for very cheap? But Debo's a little overpriced here. I don't even think Trey Lance needs to be stacked, but I am interested maybe in pieces around. I don't usually like stacking players from Arizona either. So interesting game to try to build around, actually, because I actually don't love stacking players from Arizona. But Trey Lance is just a cheap enough quarterback to plug him in. As you can see here, I found a couple of bargain wide receivers that I like a lot this week. Marquez Callaway, 5,400. I mean, it's crazy. Jacoby Myers, 5,900 in this spot. This guy is a target machine. He hasn't gotten any touchdowns yet, but I mean, 14, 12. The targets have been there. I like these numbers. Is Dalvin Cook? I don't think, no. I think Dalvin Cook's in a great spot. There are some running backs, though. You're going to see the running back position is sexy this week. I want to pay up. That's why the whole Damian Williams thing, I get the pay down, but the running back position is sexy. So let me show you what I mean here. Right at the top, I mean, Derrick Henry in the matchup of a lifetime against Jacksonville, the matchup of a lifetime. This guy destroys Jacksonville specifically. It's a borderline must play. Now, the only problem is 10,400. FanDuel rightfully priced him all the way up at 10.4. Very difficult to afford it, but let me say, Derrick Henry is in a beyond a smash. I don't even know what you call this kind of best spot of the year. The best. Going to be hard not to play Derrick Henry. Okay. Now you mentioned Dalvin Cook. I'm putting Derrick Henry in here. 10.4, right? In order to play Derrick Henry, I've got to play cheap wide receivers. Let's see if that holds. Another amazing spot is Dalvin Cook. Again, if it could get any better, it did. Detroit defense, absolutely horrific against running backs. The difference between Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry is Dalvin Cook gets hurt a lot. It's always a risk. Literally every time you play Dalvin Cook, there is a risk. You think the Jags, coalesce around their very hated coach? Maybe. Seen that kind of thing happen before. But that doesn't mean they're stopping Derrick Henry. Dalvin Cook also in an amazing spot. Also, love him. Now, moving down the list, Alvin Kamara, they don't throw to him anymore. It's a new thing in over there. I don't get it. 0 targets last week. That was fucking weird. But Kamara's fine. Jones is fine over here. I don't like this price point for Zeke. Saquon Barkley. Yeah, he's good. He's good now. We don't play players against Cleveland. We don't play players against the Chargers. I don't want James Robinson for this price. So, moving down the list, let's see how we can find a low-cost running back. Talk about some of these injury replacements. Let's go on down. Let's move it on down. Oh, how the mighty hath fallen. Antonio Gibson now, dropped to 5,600. Damian Harris is not somebody that people want to play. He is playable here. Go right back to Damian Snacks Harris. He hasn't been a big scorer, but this is a great spot against Houston. New England will pound the rock in your face when they're crushing you, and I fully expect New England to crush the Texans, and no one will play Snacks Harris. No one. I like it. Moving down the list. Uncle Lenny Fournette. Yes, please. Fournette, 6,400 against Miami. Great spot. Going to smash. 20 carries. 5 targets. Yeah. I don't like to pair Cousins with Dalvin Cook ever. I feel like if Dalvin Cook is doing enough, essentially, if Dalvin Cook is doing enough to win you the tournament at 9K, that means he's got to put up 25-ish points. That means he's stealing 2 touchdowns, maybe 3. And if he gets 2 touchdowns, maybe 3, that means Kirk Cousins is probably not throwing for those. Kirk could throw one to Dalvin, but Dalvin is not enough of a pass catcher for me. I would never mix him with Kirk Cousins. I don't think the correlation is positive. Just because correlation isn't positive doesn't mean that the 2 players can't smash in the same game. It just means it's not positive. Okay, so moving down the list, I think I like Cousin Lenny here. Uncle Lenny, Cousin Lenny, Uncle Lenny. Damian Snacks. my preference is to play Dalvin Cook. But we can't afford it. So I'm going to go with Leonard Fournette, who is now the workhorse. Man, when you could tell that Ron Jones Jr. is just horrible. I don't understand this guy. He really is a real piece of work. So let's talk about tight end real quick here. The guy who might be in line for a comeback is Hawkinson. George Kittle, I'm worried about the injury, the calf, but I do like the idea of pairing him up with Trey Lance. Again, I'm not a big play guys against Chicago guy, but Waller is always fine at his price. Kittle's fine here. Let me see what the salaries look like. 60. Okay, so we're doing okay on salary here. Let's look at a defense, and let's remember what we do on defense. Yeah, I mean, Cook hurt. We saw it. Like, he didn't look good. He was clearly hurt last week. And will he be all the way back? Dalvin Cook is always an injury risk. Always. He is a player. He's not. You know who doesn't get hurt? Derrick Henry. Dalvin Cook can get hurt at any moment. That's just what happens with him. Let's take a look at defense here and see what we can find. Buffalo likes Arizona D. Let's see if that makes sense for me. Giants, Dallas, I don't love that. No. Jaguars, probably playable against the Titans. Titans have been really generous on defense. Miami at Tampa, definitely not playing that. Sanford, no. Chargers, Cleveland, maybe. Not getting as cheap as I want. You could probably play the Panthers. I think this is the first viable one. Washington, viable. Minnesota, viable. Denver at Pittsburgh's very viable in this one. Denver with Drew Lock maybe out there on the road. Pittsburgh might be a disaster in their own right, though, with Ben Roethlisberger. But I'm going to go with Pittsburgh here because I think they have upside. Another one be really interesting to play the Cowboys against Dallas, against the Giants, because a lot of people are going to play Daniel Jones. And sure, he's been great this year, but he's also traditionally been a turnover machine. And maybe this is, I like this as a tournament play. But realistically, I think even the Eagles are mildly viable here at 3,500. Yeah, Danny Doge could come back from Danny Dimes. It could happen. This is a good suggestion. So the only thing to like about Gesicki is he's got a bunch of targets the last couple of weeks. That's fine. I like that. But he hadn't done much with it. I don't like the Miami game, so I'm not going to that one. I want high-scoring games. I want games projected for high scores. So in the flex, let's see, we got 8,300. Even with this sort of very conservative approach, because we play Derrick Henry, we only have 8,400 left in the flex. That leaves us with a choice. We can get to Devontae Adams, who I always like, and I love him this week. Bounce back. Actually, I'll play Devontae Adams in that spot and finish out this lineup. I think that's a really strong lineup right there. What I wouldn't mind doing is looking for ways to improve this wide receiver trio or finding a little bit more correlation. Let me see if I can find some more correlation here. Trey Lance to George Kittle. Let's see. We got Arizona in here, so we could probably go right back to Christian Kirk. I don't love him for the salary, but at least it's a correlative play. So if we're building a smart tournament lineup, that might be a way to go. He's coming off a pretty big dud. He's got a couple of good games so far this year, and then the dud. So, you know who I actually really like, maybe even more? As crazy as this sounds, 5,700 AJ Green. Okay, now I know it sounds crazy. You're like, what the fuck? But in reality, AJ Green has been putting up good numbers. He's a touchdown scorer, and he's got 15, 13, and 11. So these aren't 3x is very close to tournament winning on FanDuel. Now, of course, we've got Damian Williams available. So a couple of you guys mentioned him, and he's cheap. He's cheap. He's not as cheap as I would like, but he's cheap at 5,800 here. If he gets the start and he's healthy, and I want to check on that, but if he gets the start, dealing with a thigh bruise, no, should be fine for the week. So assuming he's fine, and we put him in over here, that opens up another 3K in salary. We can come. So we've got a little correlation with Green and Kittle. I want to keep that. Callaway and Myers, neither one of them have correlative value. I can always upgrade from Uncle Lenny to Dalvin Cook with this one, but what I'd like to do is actually go right back to Devontae Adams in this spot right here. No Zeke. 8K Zeke is too expensive. We're gonna play 9K Dalvin Cook, 10K Derrick Henry, or we're gonna go down to this level here and play this Fournette, Damian Williams cheap guys. I don't want these middling. I don't hate Zeke, but this salary level, I like Barkley too. Barkley's in a great spot. Like, fuck, I'd probably go Barkley ahead of Zeke. But in general, we want to go either with the high level guys, these elite ones, or slide all the way down to the values. I don't want to play that middle zone. That's it, guys. That's a lineup. Fanduel NFL Week 5. Remember that if you're not signed up at DFS Army, we will have a ton of content throughout the week. I will be back with a DraftKings first look lineup momentarily. And then, of course, if you're not signed up at DFS Army, like I said, go to dfsarmy.com. You can use my promo code, Geek, and you get 10% off. Monthly VIP, NFL only. NFL is like $39.99 or $39.99 a month, or we got a season-long plan, a 12-month plan, still going for $199. You get access around for 12 months, and that includes fantasy football, dynasty, all of the regular season-long content, as well as our DFS. So go get signed up there. Of course, start smashing. Last week, you got Cordero Patterson. We talked about, a lot of the elite plays. So we smashed it last week. We're going to keep smashing. DFS Army subs, destroying it on FanDuel and DraftKings. Please get signed up as a VIP. And if you don't do that, at the very least, like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back with my DraftKings first look momentarily. Good luck this week, everybody.